Okay, so we've just learned how to make things move when we press certain keys on our keyboard, but now we can also figure out how to make things move based on input from our mouse. So lesson 17 kind of gives us the last little bit of control that we need to make a fully functioning interactive game. All right, so we will start with the obligatory prediction. We have a balloon. It's getting small, and then it goes upside down. Now it does say to predict, so we have a space bar. So if we press the space bar, it increases in size. Now there's a weird thing going on, it inverts if it gets too small because it can't really have a negative size. So that's why it turns upside down, if you're wondering that. But we have a if else, so two different things happening. So before, all we've seen is just want to make sure that we understand now that not only can we have an if statement that checks if something is true, if it's true it runs. A regular if statement just ignores it if not, but this else says, hey, something needs to happen. If it's true, do this. If it's false, do that. And that is the if else. Okay. So we want to start over. Yet again, we've got our gears. So this one is called reverse the gear. So this level follows a video. I'm not going to watch the video, but if you need to, they are well done. So this gear's already spin when you press the space bar. So what we want to do is make an else and make them go the opposite direction. So we have if the space bar is pressed down. So if I go to control, I do have an if and then I have an if else. Little trick here though, I don't want to have to drag all this out and then say, okay, well, let me do the if. I can just click in the bottom of an if statement, and even in if else's, I can continue to add sort of layers to the conditional by just clicking that little plus sign. So I'm going to click that, and that will add my else, okay? Now, I want things to go in the opposite direction, all right? As we've learned, the sign controls the direction. So this is where text mode is going to come in handy. I'm going to switch to text mode really quick. I'm going to copy all of this code for blue gear, green gear, and red gear. Under the else, I'm going to paste, and then I'm just going to change the sign on each one. So that minus, I'm going to change to a plus. That plus, I'm going to change to a minus. And I'll change that to a minus. And now I can go back to block mode. And now I'm going to click reset, run. So now the gears start spinning automatically, but if I press the space bar, they start to spin in the opposite direction. All right, and if I release it, they go back the other way. All right, so now we have something happening regardless of whether or not we're pressing the space key, but different actions based on whether or not this condition is true or false. Alrighty, we'll move on to level 3. Start it over from the beginning. Okay, same program, one small difference. So read the program carefully, especially line 13. All right, so make the program and test whether you're correct. So make the gears spin the opposite way when there's no user input. So this is kind of the same thing, and just instead of having that space bar, we're just doing it with the mouse button being down. So we're going to run, and if we click, it spins. So exact same thing we just did. We're just now saying, hey, if the left mouse button is down. So again, I can copy, paste. That wasn't pretty. Let me see if I can get rid of that. That was odd. I should have gone to text before I copied and pasted, but again, I want to flip the signs. Okay, and now reset run. So they're spinning one way. If I click, they'll spin the other. All right, level 4. I'll go back to blocks. I know most of you prefer that. We'll start over from the beginning. Let's see what we have. So here's a program that drops a balloon down the screen using if-else statement to make the balloon go up and down according to whether or not the user is pressing the mouse. All right, so right now the balloon is falling. We want to reverse that. So we're going to go to control. Since there's nothing there, I'm just going to go ahead and do an if-else. All right. And it says add code that checks if the mouse is being pressed, otherwise it's going to drop. So I'm going to put that in my else. All right. My world, I'm going to do mouse down. By default, it'll be the left button. I'm actually going to copy. So you're going to see me do this more and more now as we go. Get a little bit more comfortable with text mode. Flip the sign. All right, so now it's going to do the opposite. So it's falling. If I click, it goes up. If I stop clicking, it goes down. Alrighty. Now it's very important here you use an if-else statement. If you just use two separate if statements, well, even that would not really make sense. Or if you didn't do the if-else, I guess what I'm getting at, if you just left this outside and then you just had the if statement without this being part of the else, your balloon would just stop because those two values would cancel out. So that's why it needs to be an if-else. All right, level 5. Okay, we've got a blender that shakes if our mouse goes near it. All right, that's pretty cool. So we have another handy dandy little trick called World Mouse X and World Mouse Y. What that does is that tracks where your X is on this grid, and the Y tracks your Y value. So these X and Y values that are showing up down here, all right, it can actually track those, and then that can be used as part of your program. So if World Mouse X is less than 200, the blender is getting a random X and Y value that's slightly more or less than where it starts. If you notice, the blender starts at 100, 100, so our range is 95, 105. I'm sorry, not 100, 100, 100, 300. So we 5 above, 5 below, 5 above, 5 below for the Y. So two different ways to do set a conditional so that when it's on the other side. There's actually an easier way to do this. I think the designers of this wanted me to go through and do it this way, so I will. This one is going to be a greater than, and then we will do a world dot mouse X. If it's greater than 200, then the mixer X and Y, all right, we'll give it some movement. As a mixer, and each one will get a random number, which will be a range, so that each frame it'll decide. So our mixer is created at 300, 300. So each one of these will be 295 to 305. Okay, so now if we reset and run, when we're on the left side of the screen, the blender shakes. Once we move to the right side, the mixer shakes. Another way that you could have done this, you could have also just added an else right here and had the mixer random number code in the else without having to check for that condition, because technically by default, if it is not less than 200, then by default it is greater than 200, but I think this is the way. I just wanted some practice adding one. But either one of those ways would work. All right, we've made it to the practice problems with lesson 17. All right, we have the ladybug walk practice. Let's start this one over. Okay, so the ladybug should only move when the mouse is near the bottom of the screen. All right, so here you see it move only when the mouse. So we're gonna check. So first we need our condition to check. So this one is going to be a simple if. Remember with my y's, the y is larger as I get towards the bottom, so I'm going to do a greater than. And then this is going to be bug dot y. I'm just going to say if it's greater than 300. That's far enough down towards the bottom of the screen, I think. If it is, then we want it to move from right to left. So then we're going to update bug.x to get bug.x minus 2. So now we run. Okay. So so because I don't have an else in there, I was wrong. And also I have lost my mind. Sorry about that. It should be the mouse, not the bug.y. World mouse y. Big mistake on my part there. That's why you test it out to make sure it's working. Okay, so now it will test that. So the reason it was constantly moving is the bug's y was always greater than 300. Now it's based on my mouse. That was a silly mistake, but those happen. If you code long enough, you're going to make them. Okay. All right, so we're good to go there. All right, next challenge, ghost moving with the mouse. All right, in this level, you'll make the ghost move either left or right, depending on the position of the pointer. If the mouse pointer is on the left of the ghost, it moves. So basically, we're going to have it so that our ghost can track where we are. So I'm going to base it on the ghost's X position. So right now this code is kind of already there to have it move. So I'm going to have if, and I'm going to do a less than, and this is going to be a world mouse X. So if it's less than, that means it's on the left side. And I'm going to check ghost.x. All right. That's going to happen. And then I could just do an else and see how that works. So reset run. Now the problem right there, you can't see the glitch. So to avoid that, I could just do a separate if, and this would be world.mouse x is greater than ghost.x. And I made a typo, so when we do that, instead of having to, okay, there we go. And then I can just move that in. Hopefully you didn't make the typo. All right, I'll go back to blocks so you can see how it should look for those of you that prefer the blocks. So now if I'm just directly over it, it just doesn't move at all. But if I'm left or right, it will chase. All right, emoji swap. Change the emoji when a mouse button is clicked. Again, this is one I've not done. This should be fun. Let's see what animations we have. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 different emojis. You could probably do more. Emoji changes to a new face. Otherwise, it returns. Okay, so change it to, so I guess we just have different options. So we're just doing two, so we're not doing all of them. I was going to say that was pretty advanced for, there's a way to do it so it would do others. We would just have to create a list and create indexes, but we're not getting into that in this course. So we will first test if the mouse, oh no, I'm using my MacBook and the trackpad leaves a little bit to be desired. Alrighty, let's try that again. Mouse down. If it's down, we're going to, and I'm just going to copy this code because that's what we need. I'm going to do Control-C, and I'm going to do an else and paste the exact same thing. So we want it to smile otherwise. We'll just make it like the example. We'll do the glasses, reset, run. If I click, it changes. If I release, it goes away. All right. The last one, help create animation that only shows musical notes. This animation simulates music playing from an instrument, but the music is always playing. Add code so the notes appear only when the mouse button is pressed. The note should be, all right, you'll need to, so hint, hint, visible. Okay. So we have 4 different notes. So right now they're constantly going. So let's just set a visibility. And that will be note, is it note 1 or just note 1? And we're going to make that false. I'm going to copy that and paste it and then just change the number at the end. That'll be much quicker. Note 2, note 3, note 4. So we'll start out that way. And then we have a if. I'm going to do an if else on this one as well. All right, if it is pressed, so again, we're going to do world, left mouse button down. All right, I'm going to copy all of these and use these a few times. So copying and pasting is very helpful here. I want all of these to be true. But, ooh, if I could spell true, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay. All right, and now we're going to have an else, and we'll paste with false. So we're going to have them start out invisible. And I click, and there they are. I release the mouse button, and they go away. I click, and they come back. Alrighty, that is all the practices. Let's move into the assessment. So we will start over from the beginning with this one. Alrighty, this one always causes some frustration because there's a certain order we have to do. So this program should only shake the creature when the mouse is pressed and only show the directions when the mouse is not pressed. So what we need to do is check to see if the mouse is pressed or not. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. So what and our draw sprites is going to be key here. Okay. So we are going to put our if statement below right here. And I'm going to do this as an if else. And this again is the mouse button, so I'm going to do mouse down. Okay. If, and is it only shake? So the creature is going to be there. Okay, so it needs to be there, but it's only going to move. Okay. So we'll do a creature rotation. Else, we want to copy that. Now it's important that we have our text after the draw sprite, so the draw sprite still needs to be there, and it needs to be outside the draw loop so that it will show the background. All right, so run, nothing's happening. I click, the text goes away, the creature shakes, I release, the creature stops shaking, the text comes back. Alrighty, so the order is very important here. So again, the key thing with this one, make sure your draw sprites is outside of the if else, and it needs to be before the if else so that your text can appear over the sprite because your background is a sprite. Alrighty, and we've got some challenges. So look at the twin spirals. So we've got spiral 1, spiral 2. All right, we've got a pink background. We've got some scale stuff going on and a rotation. So we want the spirals to switch what they're doing when the mouse is pressed down. So I'm going to do if, and again we'll go to world, mouse down. Alrighty, if you guessed that we were going to copy and paste, you are right. We're going to Control C and Control V and go into text mode, and we're just going to change to the opposite sign. So plus and minus, kind of easy to figure opposite. Here we have a divide and a multiply, so if it's a divide, I'm going to make it a multiply. That was a plus, I'm going to make it a minus. That was a multiply, so I'm going to make it a divide. That's a minus, I'm going to make it a plus. You can go back to block mode now. So that's much quicker than having to drag and drop all of those things. Run. Okay, they're spinning, spiraling. I press the mouse button down. Okay, so here's my issue. They're still having that, so I need to add the else and move all of this down. All right, that again is why you test it. I tried to move quickly, so now, okay. And now we can click the mouse button and they reverse. We release the mouse button, they go back the other way. Okay. So what you saw happen when I didn't have this in the if else was this chunk of code was running no matter what, which was essentially canceling all of this out when it was going opposite. So if it's if else, only one is happening at the time. All right. So this is a follow the mouse. All right, so one of the simplest ways, this one I think I've done before, but other levels, so we'll just kind of go through. So this one starts, so create the B sprite. Okay, so we're just going to have it follow. Okay, so we're going to create a sprite. We'll call it B. We'll set the animation of B to the B image. All right, inside our draw loop, we want a background that looks like it's light blue. And then we are going to update the B's X and the B's Y to be based on where the mouse is. And then we want to draw sprites. All right, so we run. And I'm not sure why my background, something funky was going on there. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, I didn't spell blue correctly. Okay, that's why. Alrighty. There we go, okay. So the B will now follow the mouse. Okay, so we can set our X and Y equal to the mouse, and the B will move where the mouse moves. All right, the follow the mouse advanced. So making it buzz around to give a buzzing action, we instead want to include some random numbers. So we can fix that, go to a plus and minus, and we will do that, and we'll still use the world mouse. So we'll do a world mouse X with the BX, a world mouse Y, and then we're going to do a plus, and we're going to do a random number, and we're just going to do a range of -3 to +3 on each. and we run, and then that kind of gives it, because every frame it is moving slightly differently from that, it gives it that little buzz appearance. Okay, the last one here. Oh, actually, there's more. Okay, a whole bunch more. Okay, we'll do the salt shaker. This one's always fun. All right, so let's start over from the beginning. Alrighty, so we want to check if the mouse, so we can also check to see if the mouse did move. So right now the program just displays a salt shaker. You'll need to use mouse did move, so you can shake the salt by moving the mouse. Add a conditional that checks the conditional is true. Rotate the salt randomly left or right. Extra challenge, we're going to do that one too. Can you keep track of how many times the mouse shakes the salt, then rotate it right side up after 100 shakes? So we're going to start off with that. We're going to create a variable called shakes, set it equal to 0. And then we're going to have an if else, and that's how we're going to nest it. And we're going to say if, and I'm going to say shakes is less than 100. Then I'm going to nest a mouse did move. Then we are going to change the rotation of salt. Get a random value. Let's do between negative 10 and 10. Alrighty, let's run. Okay, so that was not good. So I need to, so let's see where it's, okay, so it was already rotated 150. So let's do 145 to 155. Let's try that again. Okay, and that'll kind of make it shake a little bit. Also, when that happens, we're going to do a counter pattern with shakes. Shakes is going to get the previous value of shakes plus 1. Okay. Else, we're going to rotate, give it a rotation of 0. Okay. And to test this out, we're going to add a watcher for shakes. And we click reset run. So we can see as we move it, it's increasing. We get to 100, it stops increasing, and it goes up. Okay, so that finishes the majority of the challenges. If anybody has questions about E and F, let me know, but I think 4 challenges is plenty to give you the hang of it. But if you would like to request a video or just need help with E or F, please let me know and I'll be happy to help you out.